عمري التومون بخيوات عمر الهون شقلو المور ولو يدعونو ايكو سموي هدمات ودفنيا في البسترم واحزن يشوت قايم ولو يدعو يشوم.
Risulta essere apostola, non soltanto discepola.
She turns out to be an apostle, not only a disciple of the historical Jesus, but also an apostle of the risen Christ. Indeed, according to the testimony of the fourth gospel, the Gospel of John, she is the first apostle of the risen one. Because as Paul can boast of having had a personal apparition, even the first personal apparition of the risen one, well, Mary of Magdala, according to John, was the first and only one to have a personal apparition of the risen one, which ends with being sent on mission.
Si conclude con l'invio in missione. I fonti che noi abbiamo su questo.
The sources we have on this character as a historical figure and for deciding her place within the history of the first Christian century are very few. We only know something from the Gospels.
Noi sappiamo solo qualcosa dai Vangeli.
We know from the New Testament that the name Mary is rather generic. In particular, if we then look at the figure of Mary Magdalene in the classical representation, also in the Byzantine icons that represent her, Mary Magdalene is represented with the alabaster vase in her hands, a vase that she would have broken, spreading the perfume of the ointment throughout the house. But is she really the Mary who broke the alabaster vase that anointed the feet, the head of Jesus? Here the Gospels are not entirely in agreement.
Non sono del tutto concordi. Il primo episodio lo troviamo al capitolo 26.
The first episode is in chapter 26 of Matthew and is similar to how it is told in Mark 14. It talks about the anointing that takes place in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, where an anonymous woman approaches Jesus with an alabaster vase full of very precious perfume and pours it on his head while he is at table.
Sul capo mentre lui è a tavola. L'Evangelista Luca ci dà un episodio simile.
Luke the evangelist gives us a similar episode, but slightly out of time compared to the one of Matthew. Because we are in the 7th chapter of Luke, when Jesus is theoretically still circulating through Galilee, and he found himself invited to eat at the house of a Pharisee named Simon.
Un fariseo di nome Simone. E in questo caso una donna.
In this case, a woman, a sinner from that city, knowing that he was in the Pharisee's house, brought a vase of perfume, and this woman does not spread the perfume, but weeps and wets the feet of Jesus with tears and wipes them with her own hair.
E li asciuga con I suoi capelli.
Maria di Magdala è stata una discepola di Gesù.
Mary of Magdala was a disciple of Jesus of Nazareth. She followed and served him. She was a full disciple of Jesus, together with other women. And together with others, she went up with him to Jerusalem and participated in the Passion.
Con lui a Gerusalemme e ha partecipato alla Passione.
The third version is from John chapter 12, where it is said that Jesus was having lunch in a house where Lazarus, Martha, and Mary were also present. Therefore was Mary of Bethany, the sister of Lazarus, who took 300 grams of a very precious pure nard perfume and sprinkled Jesus' feet with it, the same as Luke's anonymous sinner had done, then wiped it with her hair. Everything recalls the passage from Luke, and the whole house filled with the aroma of that perfume.
La casa si riempì dell'aroma di quel profumo.
La peccatrice, perché il femminile è sempre stato considerato portatore di peccato.
The sinner, because woman has always been considered the bearer of sin, who, however, is converted and becomes penitent. And this is fixed in the Western imagination. Instead, in the Eastern tradition, Mary, together with other women who went to the tomb on Easter morning, preserves the profile of the Myrophora, that is, the one who carries. We know that these women bring to the tomb the herbs to cure the body of the dead Jesus, bringing aromas and all that was needed.
Di Gesù morto e gli aromi e tutto quello che serviva.
The fathers of the church put these different figures together and thought that the Mary of John 12, who performs a gesture similar to the anonymous one of Matthew 26 and the sinner of Luke 7, were Mary of Magdala.
Di Magdala.
E dopo la risurrezione,
And after the resurrection, these women, who had been to the sepulchre and had been invested with the announcement of the resurrection, leave and arrive in Europe and even evangelize. For example, Mary of Magdala evangelizes southern France.
evangelizza la Francia del Sud. La domanda che
The question we can ask ourselves, what does it mean today to follow Jesus?
come è possibile
How is it possible to do so? What does it mean to evangelize today?
realizzare oggi.
يا قديسة مريم يا والدة الله صلي لأجلنا نحن الخطأ الآن وفي ساعة موتنا آمين.
Faith for me, Wafa, it starts. My dad sent us to a convent when we were small because he couldn't tolerate to look after us alone. I was 7 years old, and the other ones, one was 5 years and 4, and the small sister was 3 months old. So we grew up with the sisters. We used on their daily routine life, such we have the mass at 6:30. The mass, we have the breakfast at 7. We are going to St. Joseph School at Bethlehem. I studied the Tawjihi with my tears because I has no time to study. I am responsible when we are going to home in the vacation. I was responsible about cooking, cleaning, and at home, cooking, cleaning at home, and whenever we are with the sisters at the convent, even we have limited time to study. We don't have at home many hours, and you don't have you don't have the chance even to choose the hours. When I finished my tawjihi, I told Dad, I got this high average. Please, can you help me? Or I know how because we were a poor family. We were 5, and the intifada, and it's very difficult life. So my dad, he told me, Wafa, it's very difficult now to send you to university. How much we need money for the university. I started fasting and praying intensively. And after 3 days, I have a phone call from the university. They told me, Wafa, come on soon to the university. So I went running. There the officer told me, Wafa, it's incredible. I told her why, what happened. She told me your application went. We sent it the last one, and we received the answer about full scholarship. I work at hospital, so I realize exactly what people are suffering. So many families, they have sick children. They are going to hospital frequently, and so you will not feel their pain or their suffering unless you will be in their place. I would like to send this message for all people who want to ask something from God. Just keep fasting and praying from the bottom of the heart. God will not tell you no.
She was, the Gospels tell us, the first witness of the resurrection, not alone, as the Gospel of John seems to make us believe, but probably accompanied by other women. But she, however, in the faith of the primitive church, was the guarantor of the announcement of the resurrection to the first disciples.
In fondo la consegna che il risorto dà a Maria di Magdala è
Basically, the message that the risen one gives to Magdalene is very clear. I do not want you to keep me in your memory as the dead master. I ascend and access another state, and thus give you another way of being disciples. You must announce this.
Quindi voi ha un'altra modalità di essere discepoli e dovete annunciare questo.
The ability to translate what it means to be disciples of a person who had a clear, precise message, the person Jesus of Nazareth, a prophet who was put to death, not to keep him in his earthly reality alone, but to try to announce his message to all peoples and all generations.
Realtà terrena, ma provare a declinarlo come un messaggio valido per tutti i popoli e per tutte le generazioni.
وتفنيث ومرولي عبروي ثرابولي مثل مرمى الفنوم شينو وشلو إزال شقليم ومالو يشوع مريم وتفنيث ومرولي عبروي ثرابولي مثل مرمى الفنون